Everybody loves a parade. Look at that championship belt. The 12s out in full force today in Seattle. Sam Darnold hoisting the Lombardi, his head coach. There you go. And hey, just a warning, a few little spicy images and language maybe as we check it out.
I've talked a lot this last week about belief. A lot of people, didn't believe in me, but it didn't matter because the ones that are close believed in me, including y'all. I appreciate y'all so much.
To Ken Walker being the MVP, let's go! Woo! You tried negotiating with me 5 minutes ago. It was really weird.
I appreciate y'all. And, hey, we not done. We coming back next year. Yeah. I'm not leaving. Yeah. Yeah, 12, let's go.
If you got anything to say about my quarterback, you got anything to say about my defense, you got anything to say about my O-line, and you got anything to say about the city of Seattle, I got 2 words for you. Yeah! We here to stay, and we ain't going nowhere.
Classic parade stuff there, right? It just gets no better.
Stole my open.
Oh, my gosh. There you go. Hannah Storr, Mikey T, Field Yates, and Hawk. I love that. Now, the reason that we saw so much of that stuff was out on the screen is a lot of guys are wearing a T-shirt, picture or an image of Sam Darnold raising the middle finger and smoking a cigarette. So somebody had some fun with that.
To the victor goes the spoils.
Huh?
To the
there you
victor
go.
goes the spoils.
And now we're, of course, going to talk about next year. Yeah, Mike.
If anybody criticizes the show, we're going to all pull on Ernest Jones, right?
Oh, yeah, we are. That's right, just collectively. So now, as we turn the page, one huge change. Clint Kubiak, he's gone, the offensive coordinator, guy who helped out Sam Darnold so much. What sort of impact do you think that'll have as he goes to be head coach of the Raiders?
It'll definitely have an impact. Obviously, you had that continuity. You had that chemistry with the quarterback, a guy that he's had experience with. But I don't think it'll be so catastrophic that they can't put themselves in position to repeat, right? Because there's a lot of coaches that come from this DNA. And I also think it might be a little bit understated about the effect that Sam Darnold had on this offense, because this is now an offense he's been in with 3 locations, from San Fran to Minnesota to Seattle. And I think what you saw this season, the way that he operated this offense, was kind of his full maturation into it, understanding all the big-time concepts, understanding what they want to do with it. So I think as long as you have him in place, you'll have a good chance to go find an offensive coordinator that also may have some of that lineage to be able to repeat and keep going.
I think what's really important here is this is now the Seattle Seahawks offense, and this team is loaded. They have a lot of depth in terms of coaching staff. Maybe it's Rick Dennison they promote. But more fundamentally, like when you go back to those great Patriot team guys, Charlie Weiss would graduate. Josh McDaniels would graduate. It was the New England Patriot offense. Dante Scarnecchia was there for a long time in terms of like how they call things on the line. So to me, like now they have to own this and say, hey, this is the Seahawks offense. We have the quarterback, we have the infrastructure, and guys are going to grow, develop. They're going to graduate for all the right reasons, and that's how we have continuity.
Yeah, I mean, and Kubiak gave his assistants so much responsibility, a lot of credit, installed their plays and stuff like that. We'll see what he takes with him.
Right.
Yeah. We don't know that yet, but maybe they can promote from within. What should their top priority be, Field?
Yeah, I want to congratulate the Seahawks, of course, on their 2nd franchise Super Bowl, but also on enduring or encountering what is the biggest and greatest problem in pro sports. Your team is so good that you got to start paying guys a whole lot more money than they currently make. It's great when you see that the Seahawks have this unbelievable amount of cap space, which on paper you're saying to yourself, are the Super Bowl champs about to go big game hunting? They could, but don't forget about the fact that the best investments are the in-house investments. Guys like Devin Witherspoon, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, all extension eligible for the first time this offseason. Don't forget, Derek Hall was an excellent player in the Super Bowl, also due for an extension, plus some guys that are going to become free agents. And now the Seahawks, given how strong this roster is, are going to be saying every dollar we spent is one less dollar that we're going to have in the future. So while this team could unquestionably, if they desire, go big this offseason and try to take another swing, it might mean that somewhere down the line, a current core player is no longer a part of the Seahawks franchise, which makes me think that John Snyder, who has been through this before when he built a Super Bowl winner over a decade ago, is going to be very mindful of the in-house priorities like the guys we just highlighted.
I like that Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah,
Right?
that would
What do you
help.
do
Yeah.
with him?
Yeah.
Right.
So, Hannah, I think you have to keep him. One thing, though, that's interesting to me is Kenneth Walker had 31 receptions. Zach Charbonneau only had 20. I think at some point they have to add a running back who could be productive out of the backfield as we talk about the next iteration of the Seahawks offense, which, again, we all believe the fundamentals are there. But I think some of these easier completions for Sam Darnold will go a long way in terms of where he could go next step. That'll help cut down on turnovers. That'll help with completion percentage. And as good as this team was, obviously, as a Super Bowl winner, I think that was a big void in their offense.
Yeah, if you think they had a chip on their shoulder now, they're co-favorites with the Rams. So they got to be saying, what's up with this? They go to the Super Bowl next year. All right, let's go to Clint Kubiak's new gig. All right, so head coach of the Raiders. One of the immediate concerns there, we've been talking about it, future of defensive star Max Crosby, obviously the subject of trade rumors for a while. He didn't attend Kubiak's introduction, but apparently they did have coffee. So read into that what you will. And here is Kubiak on Crosby yesterday.
Well, I got to drink a cup of coffee with Max this morning. Loved talking ball with him, and look forward to continuing those conversations. I think he was the first one in here this morning working out, so I fired me up. We want him to be a part of our success going forward. And there's no doubt about that.
Well, who wouldn't want him on your team? I mean, come on. Since entering the league as a fourth-round draft pick in 2019, he's been one of the best pass rushers in the sport, leads all players, 360 pressures during that time, also ranking top 10 in the league at sacks, QB hits, and batted passes. All right, so Mikey T, put on your front office hat, you and Tom Brady and everybody else there making decisions. Do you build around Crosby or do you trade him?
I think ideally you'd like to keep him. I remember Coach Parcells when he got to the Jets in 1997 and that team had won one game. He talked about we need hold the fort guys. We want to establish credibility. There's nobody better at that than this guy right here. You heard Coach Kubiak talk about first guy in already in the offseason. So there's no doubt he stands for everything you want to be. But, guys, there are so many holes on this roster from receiver, offensive line, corner. Just pick a spot. If you could get a 1 and a 2, albeit reluctantly, Hannah, I think you got to strongly consider it despite the cultural fit because they have so many needs.
I'm with you, Mike T. I think Crosby is one of my favorite players in the league. I think he's one of the most talented players in the league. But to your point, as an organization, they're kind of in the middle of this reset, right? New head coach. Tom Brady comes on a year ago to take over things. They're going to have a new quarterback at the helm. How far away really are they from truly contending? And if it is far away, to your point about all the holes, you have to leverage the value that you have in Max Crosby to try to do your best to continue to build it from the ground up.
I think it's a discussion with Max. If Max wants to stay, he's got a reasonable enough contract that you say, all right, we can continue to build this thing up while also keeping Max Crosby. I do want to point to something, though, that I thought about recently. Understanding that Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft, and he will be the face of the franchise once he's drafted. If you have been to Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play their home games in recent years, the entire stadium operation is basically a Max Crosby exhibit at a museum, right? We're talking about posters, billboards, on-screen videos. He is the face of this franchise in every way, shape, and form. That if you traded him, like over the past couple of seasons, especially this past year, what are fans getting excited about when they go to games other than, I don't know, like good seats, maybe some good beer? I don't know. This feels like a little bit of a new era that it would be difficult to trade Max Crosby. It's difficult to trade star players. We just dealt with this in the NBA trade deadline when Hannah Storm was hosting NBA Today with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Milwaukee. That being said, if ever there was a time where I think both the player will be amenable to it and it will be logical for the franchise, it would be when you've got a head coach who's 38 years old, he's young, a quarterback is going to be his rookie season. Let's build this thing back up organically and repurpose whatever draft picks we get from Max Crosby into an offensive line, another pass catcher for Fernando Mendoza, and defensive reinforcements.
And don't you have to repair some of the feelings of everything that went down last season? You still got the same people in the front office. I know you have a new coach.
I think if Max could really influence this, I wouldn't. If Max says I want to stay, great.
That'd be great for them.
But I think you have a thoughtful conversation about the state of the franchise and being honest about how close they are to competing.
Because we know, as you said, they have the number 1 draft pick. There's no mystery there as to who that's going to be. It's Fernando Mendoza, but the cupboard is very bare. So we're going to turn to your latest mock and listen. There's zero mystery here for once. Right field. So take us through that number 1 pick.
Yeah,
the
Fernando
Raiders
Mendoza.
select.
Yeah, I'd say, like, to me, the biggest question for Fernando Mendoza to answer right now is, does he want a 3-car garage somewhere in the Henderson, Las Vegas, Nevada area? Like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking as far as, like, amenities for your new home, Fernando? But yes, he had a remarkable season last year, wire-to-wire, best player in the country, 4-1 passing touchdowns. He is a big, powerful, accurate quarterback who the comp that I used for Mendoza throughout the college football season style-wise was Sam Darnold, who this would be a perfect fit given the Clint Kubiak offense. And I'm not saying the Raiders hired Clint Kubiak because it would be a good fit for Fernando Mendoza, but it certainly helped the cause. And Dan Graziano reported yesterday on NFL Live that part of the conversation with head coaching candidates during the process for the Raiders was, what do you think of and how do you view Fernando Mendoza? There's already an understanding there of how these two could jive.
So here's the big question. Do you play him right away, Mikey T?
I don't. I keep Geno Smith, and I think, Hannah, there has to be a more sensible discussion in the NFL about acquiring a player like Fernando Mendoza, but when do you play him? Because I think some quarterbacks are ruined. We talked about the redemptiveness of Sam Darnold. We've talked about Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield. Maybe Kyler Murray's the next version of that this year. But to me, if we can't protect Fernando Mendoza as the Raiders, why are we rushing to play him? He's there for at least 5 years, maybe 6 with a franchise tag. Geno Smith, to me, at this point, Hannah, becomes a great bridge quarterback. Hopefully this is your guy for the next 10 years. And look, I'm not saying it's outcome determinative, but Patrick Mahomes sat all but one game his rookie year.
Sure.
He was well, suited to sit behind Alex Smith, learn from Andy Reid. Like, why are we in a rush to play?
Because nobody's really expecting this team to win a lot of games and win them immediately. So maybe in that sense, the pressure's off.
When I think of Mendoza, I think about rookie quarterbacks coming in general. I think everybody is different. Some are ready to play, some aren't. Some of it is the tangible, some of it is the intangibles. When I hear Mendoza, when I watch his decision making, which is off the charts, his understanding of the big picture, I can't help but feel like he's best suited if you put him in now, even if it's not going to be pretty, because there is a certain amount of reps that it's going to take for you to develop to get to that point. And the longer you prolong it, it's just going to push out that development, that maturation when he's full go and ready to execute to down the line. And so when I look at Mendoza, I think he's tailor-made for this offense. I think he is a quick decision maker. Like I said, he's very accurate. He's athletic, good outside the pocket. I think all those things matching up. He's also played a lot of college football.
Yep.
I think he's ready to go.
Yeah, and with not like top-tier talent necessarily.
There you
He
go.
elevates the people around him.
Yeah, and we saw that especially during his time at Cal. For a couple of seasons out there at Cal, in 2024, he trailed only Shedeur Sanders in terms of sacks taken at the FBS level, just north of 50. Much better offensive line this past year at Indiana, but he also was much more aware within the pocket. I thought he was more urgent and more decisive within the pocket. I don't care how much the Raiders invest this offseason in the offensive line. They can't fix the entirety of it in one fell swoop. It's going to be still a work in progress. I thought we saw some encouraging signs, though, that even if this is not a perfect offensive line, Mendoza can show some of the high-level skills even when playing under some level of duress.
My threshold is pretty fundamental. If he can't protect himself consistently, going back to the 2012 stats at Cal, I would wait. Like, what is the rush? Like, to me, like, as you said earlier, Hannah, like, they're not competing in the AFC West next year. Like, what is the rush? Like, ask David Carr about his rookie year with the Houston Texans.
Come on, we got ticket sales to worry about in Jersey.
Yeah,
sales,
I worry about him for the 8-9 years, not the first 8 or 9 weeks.
You're so pragmatic.
Leave all those Max Crosby signs.
Yeah, leave them
leave in there. Don't plaster Mendoza everywhere.
Seriously.
Take the pressure off.
Their punter's awesome too. Maybe I don't know. AJ Cole stuff. I mean,
see how deep we're going, folks.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is the off season.